and welcome to the Not Just Anime podcast. I'm your host, Ruan, and I am very excited to introduce the first episode of the Not Just Anime podcast, recorded live at Daru Fest Winter 2025. And what a great event that was. We had so much fun. I do apologize, there's a lot of excitement happening in the background, but I do think that kind of adds to the flavor of this episode, and as a result you get to experience the joy that is Daru Fest Winter 2025. So be sure to be at the next Daru Fest. But on to today's guest, none other than Mr. Chad Beyers. What a wholesome gentleman. The man's a husband, he's a father. What you see online is what you get. I am so happy to call this man a friend, and so happy that he joined our first podcast episode. So let's get going, Mr. Chad Beyers.
Retro vibes and neon glow. Come on in, let's start the show.
Today, we have launched the Not Just Anime podcast. We are live at Daru Fest Winter 2025. It's the second recording, your episode 2. I had a little bit of a
little
test
tester
earlier, just like to break the ice and to get into it. But the whole concept, as I shared with you about this whole podcast, is to kind of use anime as a lens to see what interesting avenues it gets, it leads us down. Because
Makes sense, yeah.
people discover anime in interesting ways, and then or they discover other things through anime. Food is like an easy layup. Someone's eating ramen noodles.
What have you seen? Have you seen Naruto?
Exactly.
You
Right.
see?
Exactly. So I'm very, very excited to welcome none other than the biggest comic book head that I know. To be honest,
On the anime podcast.
on the anime podcast, brilliant, Mr. Chad Beyers.
Hello,
Welcome.
sir. Thank you for having me. Thank you for for allowing me to be the first on this. I'm very excited.
I'm so stoked to have you here because I think we can we've been having some side chats
Yes.
on WhatsApp
Yes.
and sending each other some messages about opinions and ideas.
And then what we have in the pipelines,
Yeah. And we how do we met on Instagram.
Instagram, yeah.
Yeah, we I started following each other.
Yeah.
Like the stuff that you post.
Yeah.
Man's got a killer smile.
Thank
Killer
you.
smile. I know that's how you sealed the deal with
Listen,
Tennille.
If there's one thing that goes for me, that's that, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna utilize this for the rest of my life. I really hope I never lose teeth.
Play to your strengths, dude. Play to your strengths. So you mentioned it. You're a comic book head on
Yes, sir.
an anime podcast.
Yes, sir.
So let's get into it. I want to actually find out, because I dabbled in comic books as a kid as well.
Yes.
But I want to hear, where did you discover comic books? Like, how did it begin for you?
So, for me, I've always been a lover of movies, stories in general. I think, so I grew up watching like the X-Men movies, a lot of animated series. So from there, I always imagined comic books, actual like physical comic books, to be a more American thing. I didn't know it was like a tangible thing. And then like I said, I really love the X-Men movies. So the X-Men, and then eventually I found the comic book store and I was like, oh, cool, there is a store here. And then that's how I kind of got into. So diving into these characters that I love, and then just expanding on that world a little bit more.
And as you guys can hear, Daru Fest Winter
Off to a
2025
great
is
start.
popping off.
Yeah.
They've got their Name That Tune hosted by the Notorious Poe. But I want to get back to that.
Sure.
So what age was this? Like teens, preteens?
So yeah, just after high school is when I started reading.
Oh, for
comic
real?
books.
So it was actually like a fairly...
after some time, yeah.
after some time.
Yeah.
So what were your hobbies at school?
Watching movies, playing some games with my younger brother. So yeah, it's just consuming movies.
Yeah.
I think that's also where because even though yes, I'm predominantly a comic book fan, I think in the basis of it, I'm a story fan. You know what I'm saying? I'm a lover of stories. I just wanted to say, in light of this, that's why I wore like my Akira t-shirt.
Akira. I saw that. I was like, there's something here. I've also got a little DVD.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, yes, we aligned.
Man, we've got to represent. So Akira's a lot that we've been talking about.
We have, yeah.
And so is it safe to say you watched a lot of movies,
Yeah.
consumed a lot of stories.
Yeah.
You got into comic books after high school.
Yeah.
Never really got into anime.
More or less the same time. When
real?
I started, so like everybody else in South Africa, 5 o'clock afternoon, I was there. We were watching
DBZ.
We were when Goku says power up, I was there. So I think that, like everyone, that's my first introduction to anime. And then when I was in varsity, when I was, so more or less the same time as collecting comic books. My first anime was Death Note.
Okay, wow,
Got
you
into
went deep.
got into Tokyo Ghoul. I know that's
Okay,
listen.
yes, you skip the easy stuff.
Yeah, I just went straight into the dark stuff. You know what I'm saying? So and then Kisaiju as well, Parasite.
I've never watched that actually. It's the guy with the hands and stuff that can transform.
Yes.
I've
So
seen some.
it's a really good, but disclaimer, I haven't finished it.
Okay, that's maybe a commentary on that, I guess. I'll just leave it there. But yeah, you're generalist enough to say like I enjoy good stories, and I
Yes.
think that's the thing, right? So for me, I started watching anime as a primary school kid.
Yes.
So I went through a phase where I consumed everything. If it was labeled anime,
Okay.
I was there.
Okay.
And it would be 26 episodes, and it would be utter trash, and I would suffer through it because
Yeah,
I'm
'cause you need
I'm
to-
a purist,
Yes.
completionist. It's anime, right?
Okay.
I don't, but. And then you get to a point where it's like, okay, I enjoy anime, I enjoy the art style, of course, but it's about the story, and that's
100%.
also I think that opens it up a lot, right? If you are a fan of comic books, if you are a fan of movies, whatever, at the essence, it is
Yes.
the story.
Yes.
And if it's got beautiful artwork together with that,
Yeah.
that's just the win.
It's like a cherry on top. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think what I like, what I'm not going through now, but I think what I like to look at now, because if you look at I don't want to call it the market because that's not a right way of looking at it, but like East versus West, and we've had this discussion before, it's East versus West, but I'm like, it's not versus really, because if you look at it, a lot of the time in comic books, for instance, comic books and comic book characters, Western characters, TMNT, Nightwing, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
I think Yuji Itadori showed up in a Nightwing book.
So
see.
there you have it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
TMNT, I think in the Mutant Mayhem, Donatello has Gojo on his
That's
on
right.
his
I
stuff.
saw
Yeah.
a lot of that, and that's also pretty cool. Where it's starting to, the confluence is happening. You know,
100%, yeah.
And that's art.
Yeah.
Inspiring each other. You know, stealing a little bit here, getting inspiration from there.
I think
and
the
putting your own
West
thing.
steals a lot more from
I think that's a historic thing, right? Because
Yeah.
because pre-internet age,
Yeah.
information was a big gatekeeper.
Yes,
so if
yes.
you traveled to Japan, you saw something there, you could easily just go like, okay, I'm just gonna
I'm
put
taking this as mine now.
I'm just gonna put a spin. Let's just call it Lion King.
Yeah.
You know? White Lion? What? No,
Well, yeah, it's
yeah.
the same but different.
yeah. So, but now you are seeing where the access to information is, you know, like more on equal footing, and
Yeah.
people can be inspired by stuff. And what I'm enjoying about it is that, as much as it maybe was East versus West,
Yeah.
or comic books versus anime and manga,
Yeah.
it's now becoming like, hey, I can like both.
You
I'm
can
allowed,
like
I'm allowed,
both.
I'm allowed to get
100%.
heavy into this and not feel threatened
100%.
by
Like,
enjoying other things.
it's okay to be a purist. Go watch 25, 20, 30 episodes, 1,000 episodes in some cases.
Shout out One Piece.
Shout out One Piece. It's okay to go be consistent. Every Sunday you're watching that, but also once you're done with that, you want to go and maybe read a Batman book. It's okay. You can do both.
I think also in South Africa, maybe it's easier for us to kind of straddle both lines because
Makes sense.
So I'm going to be full disclaimer in preparation for this interview or this chat. I shouldn't call it interview. That's way too formal. In preparation for this chat, I was imagining 5-year-old Chad going with his parents to the local spa or corner shop or whatever, and there's a shelf of books with cool pictures on it, and discovering comic books in that way, and then it's something that grew with you throughout your whole life.
No.
And so one of the questions is actually, what's your earliest memory of comic books? But of course, you know, you only kind of got into it later on.
Later on, when I can actually remember, because
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
pre 10 years old, don't ask me anything about pre 10 years old. I can't remember a thing.
Fair. Unless there's like significant trauma or
Yes.
highlights there.
Which
you know,
luckily,
it's a blur.
thank you, I don't have that. But so the earliest I would say, because it happened post high school, just after high school, and my brother was still in high school, so I would go fetch him, and then we would need to pass by like an hour or two because we need to go fetch my mom. So the only way, and then luckily on the way to go fetch my mom, there's a comic book store. So we would just go browse and see what is there.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
You got into comic books at a great time because that's
Yeah.
also a time where you've got a little bit more budget.
Yes.
As a kid,
Yes.
as an anime fan, growing up, it was like hell.
I can
It
imagine.
was waiting ages.
Please, can I have that? No, bro.
This is a waste of
Why?
money.
That's a waste of money.
Yeah.
You have 10 of them.
Yeah.
No.
So the reason why I'm throwing it back to like this young age kind of thing, which is often quite interesting, like you see that people, what they enjoy and what they're passionate about and what they are inspired by in their youth kind of spills over into their professional lives. And,
Yes.
and you're an animator.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
yeah.
you got into that pre. You got into art pre comic books. Anime, all that
It's
thing?
more or less the same time, but I started actually. So full disclosure, I'm like I studied like animation like character animation.
Yeah.
I did an internship for 2 weeks at a local 2D studio. So I've worked on like a 2D animation, but that's because my love of stories. So now I'm like a motion designer, which is also interesting enough because it's an advertising, but then lies still the story because you work with certain properties that's
It's just a 2-minute clip or a 5-minute clip.
100%,
or
yeah.
whatever.
And then how do you relay that story in such a short period of time?
Storytelling on steroids.
100%. But sorry, just to also answer your question, and I know because also one thing that I love about your page is like I am licensed, right?
Yeah.
So early anime. Early anime memory is actually, I don't know if you remember, Nando's used to have, because you're talking about like as a kid what a struggle it is. I don't know if you remember, a good couple years ago, Nando's used to actually have a pack of DBZ cards.
Nando's.
Yes.
I grew up in a town that didn't have DBZ or didn't have a Nando's.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Okay.
We had KFC.
Oh shoot. Okay. Because
Yeah,
I
just
know,
KFC.
because like you know how
Snap,
like
okay.
McDonald's will do licensing
yeah.
stuff. So Nando's actually had like a pack of 10, and I know. So a pack of 10 is like this. We had a stack like this, so we were visiting Nando's quite a lot. Sorry, just to throw it back to that.
No, but that's
question.
actually interesting because that's, dude. If you can find a Nando's DBZ card pack now, you could
Yes.
probably sell that at a premium just by
Really?
like
by proxy.
Like, no.
I'm very curious to know what the value of that is.
We need to investigate because this is
Yeah.
like a South African exclusive.
Yeah, because I don't think many people remember that because I know it was just my brother and I were because we were playing that, and then obviously when you go to school it's Yu-Gi-Oh and Tazos, but not those cards. So yeah,
Did the cards survive the weird phase where you're like, I'm done with this? Or do you
I'll
think it's
find
still
out.
around?
I know at my mom's house there's a trunk of things.
All right, we need to
we have to dive.
dive through those treasures. So, okay, you motion designer.
Yeah.
You went after school into like let's call it the creative
industry, yeah.
right? What set you on that path to go into the creative industry?
So, being a lover of all these characters, I don't want to say comic books because I didn't collect comic books then, but like around grade 6, grade 7, I mean, everybody draws, and then I realized, and then everybody like started getting like a lot more comments like saying, "Oh, you're really good at this." I was like, "Oh, maybe I am good at this." So just because of the love of those characters and like the old school animations and stuff, so I figured, okay, cool, I want to be an animator, and then I realized it's stressful.
Yeah, no, listen, it's a tough industry. It's definitely a tough industry, but yeah, I think you've got to have a deep passion for it.
You do, yeah.
To kind of keeping on.
You
right?
do, yeah.
But for me, the reason why I asked this question is like I grew up. The first animation that I saw, or my earliest memory, is actually original Lion King. Seen that in cinema, and then those. Batman, the animated series, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the Frank Wolf or whoever was the producer on that. The OG animation that sold all the toys. That got me into like animated storytelling, right? And got me into drawing. And then I was a little bit into skateboarding, so I was drawing like skateboard logos and stickers and stuff like that, you know. And obviously, add anime into the mix, you start drawing anime.
100%.
And for a time, I was going like, I want to work in this industry.
Okay.
You know, at the end, it didn't work out like that, but it's just interesting how you kind of found that passion without like necessarily like just I love stories, I enjoy drawing, I enjoy being creative, I'm going to go in this industry.
You enjoy the space, yeah.
And then like only going like, there's a whole world of comic books that I can enjoy the stories of. There's like anime out there.
Yeah.
Like, whoa. So I think someone won something.
Oh,
So
excellent.
So yeah, that's actually pretty cool. I didn't expect that because, you know, it's also interesting. You think you go through life, you're like, people have a similar experience than you do.
Yes.
So I was thinking, maybe you had like that layup into the creative industry.
It sounds like we almost similar, and I think that's what. Again, I think as story lovers and as fans of these things, it's like it's easy, or you can kind of see how different characters, you and I, for instance, are the characters in the story, but like, we still involved in the space differently, you know, and I think it comes with like growing up, it comes with like not losing that passion for things, you know, and I think that's really cool because it's this love that we have for storytelling, for characters, has taken us on our path. And somewhat, you mentioned something the other day, was it the stage, the 6 or the 3, where you mentioned it.
The 6 or the 3?
It's like, I know someone, then you.
6 degrees of separation.
Yes. And it's like, it's crazy because now
it just links up. It daisy chains, and you've got this whole ecosystem.
Exactly. When you mentioned that, I was like, it literally applies to like not just people, but also like love and passion. You see?
Yeah. And I think that's also interesting because you, as someone that enjoys something, you want to share those stories, and that's, I think. So here's a question. You started Instagram.
Yeah.
All about comic books. You're sharing what you're reading. You're sharing your recommendations. You're kind of making it more accessible, giving people an entry point into it. Is it for you also something that you enjoy this so much that you kind of just want to share that? It sounds weird, but you just want to like, dude, you've got to read the story. It might not be your cup of tea. You know, from the person sharing the information, you're just passionate. You just want the word to get out there.
I just
like,
need you to go and see this. Yes.
And then give me your feedback. Do you feel the same way that I do?
Fair.
You know, like so for me, a big part of like the reason why I started my Instagram page, I Am Licensed, was like I want to kind of pull the layer back. And so you can see what the inner workings behind the stuff that you grew up on, or the stuff that you are passionate about, how this works and how these deals. How did Nando's license Dragon Ball Z to make these cards?
Yeah.
So, but I was passionate about it and like interested in these things, and I just wanted to spread the word. Be like, guys, you've got to like get the down low on this.
100%. Awesome. And I can almost like appreciate that because if you watch a movie, right? You watch a movie, an anime, and then okay, cool, you enjoyed it. You dive a little bit into that. You see, okay, what did the creator have to go through? For instance, I'm a big Power Rangers fan as well. Again, there's another. Okay, we'll maybe dive into this at some point, but like, there's a property that without Super Sentai would not exist, right? And then, so I think, if I'm not mistaken, all the footage that is just not the kids like
with the suit,
with the suit is all Japanese footage, right? Yes. I love Power Rangers. I don't know why.
Love it too.
I tried to watch the 97 movie the other day. I was like, ooh.
Secret of the Ooze.
Yeah, Ivan Ooze.
Oh my god.
I was like, I'm sure I love this, but I still love it.
Yeah.
Now you go and you see that, okay, in order to develop these episodes, they needed this, they needed it. So you appreciate the craft, you know what I'm saying? And then you realize that Saban spent 8 years trying to sell this property. 8 years. That's a long time.
Yeah, with like 8 years of rejection.
8 years of rejection. I know, and then eventually landing up on with like Fox Kids. If I'm not mistaken, at some point Stan Lee also wanted to buy it, but then I think higher ups was like, no, this does not looks
weird.
It looks weird. I don't know if So and then again, you just you peel that back a bit, and you're like, okay, a lot of people's energy and passion, and I don't know. For me, it just heightens the property a lot more.
Yeah, to know what people had to suffer through to
to bring it to your screen.
Bring it to your screen, to bring it to life.
100%,
You know,
yeah.
someone once told me that the creative industry is an industry of no's. You will get like no. The fact that anything actually gets made,
Yes.
that we can see anything on screen, that we get to enjoy these worlds.
It's a miracle.
It is actually a miracle because
It's a
there's like some
miracle.
executive or some person out there just going like,
100%.
nah.
And there again, it's a person that will look at it at face value, not understand the story, not understand the character, not understand the creator's passion behind this and the reason why they're pushing this so hard, you know. And it's like, it's easy to say no.
Yeah, it is.
Sometimes to say yes is a risk, but look, it might turn out great.
Okay, and the thing is also like you might not know what would resonate with people, right?
100%.
Like from maybe that executive or the people that said no 8 years straight to Saban.
Yeah.
They just didn't know whether it didn't resonate with them, but they didn't know there's a whole demographic out there
yeah.
that it'll resonate so hard that you'll get
100%.
like super avid fans.
100%.
Which is interesting because at the end of the day, you might not be into it, and this is something maybe with age that I've also come to kind of be more okay with, is that I might not be into it, I might not enjoy it,
Yeah.
and someone else does.
Yeah.
And that's cool,
Yeah.
and I respect that.
Yeah.
You go and you enjoy. So the reason why I mention this is, and this is actually maybe a good layup for the next thing I want to ask
Okay.
you. But first memory of animation,
Yeah.
Lion King. You know, OG Mufasa. We've got the beautiful,
Yeah.
animation there, the beautiful soundtrack.
Yeah.
And then live action remake, live
Remakes,
action.
yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is gonna suck. Like, no. And to be honest, I've watched maybe the first 20 minutes, and it's like I was
not-
like, this is terrible.
It's not
How
for
can
you, yeah.
How can you sully the name?
Yeah.
But then it's got $1 billion box office. I think over $1 billion box office.
Yeah.
So that tells me there's a whole, there's a massive group of people. Let's call it a market. There's
Yes,
a
yes.
bunch of fans that do love it, and
Yeah.
did enjoy it, and that wants to introduce their children to it, or it's for a whole new generation.
Yeah.
And it's a tough one. It's a
It is.
very difficult
It is.
needle to thread, but it's fine that I don't like it. But there's clearly
There's
a
people that
$1 billion
do, yeah.
box office of people who are happy to
I think-
to enjoy it.
I think it's the way those systems or those are laid out, right? It's the same with like comic books. Batman has been running for over 60 years. X-Men's been running for 60. I think the 90s was 30. Yeah, so 60 years. How do you keep a property fresh, right? How do you make it accessible? Because, and I feel like that's the problem with, again, market's not the right word, but for lack of a better word, the
Current
culture.
landscape.
There we go. I'm gonna go with culture,
culture
rather,
is a good
because you look at it and it's not mine. I must hate this, and you don't have to, because at the end of the day, if you enjoy it, then okay, then it's for you. If it's not for you, it's okay.
Shut
You
up
know
and
what
move
I'm
on.
saying? Shut
Yeah.
up and move on, because let's introduce the younger generation to these characters.
And also, if you're not going to push the boundary a little bit, you might not discover and unlock new and interesting things. Like
Exactly,
if you go
yeah.
back to, again, guys, this is not just anime podcast. We're talking about comic books. here.
Yeah.
If you go back to Christopher Nolan's Batman, up until that point, we've only seen like a camp Batman. We've only seen like
100%,
a
yeah.
bit of a goofy comedy kind of thing. This is the first time that we saw like a dark, realistic take on Batman on the silver screen. Right?
Yes.
And up until that point, people were like, oh,
Yeah.
but then it just like it blew up this whole comic book industry,
100%,
film industry
yeah.
essentially, because then what happened is people started going like, ooh, I want a dark and gritty take.
It changed the tone of how comic book storytelling is done, because you went from these essentially for kids
selling toys.
dude in a costume fighting bad guys, and then you add this darker tone, and then there you have it.
Suddenly you've got like I mean, we can all agree Christopher Nolan is he's a big wig,
Goat.
he's a great director.
Yeah.
And for him to see the story and go like, you know what, I can go deep on this.
100%, yeah.
I can explore the inner workings of human emotions
Yes,
through
yes.
this lens that is Bruce Wayne, Batman.
Yes.
And suddenly shifted the whole gear on what those like
On
online
how you do the stories. Yeah. But if I may, right?
Please do.
I'm going to contradict myself, because, again, I'm talking about like live action remakes, but just to bring a little bit to the anime space.
Look at you. Thank you.
Live action remakes. Can we not?
So yeah, no, no comment.
As much as I'm all for pushing the boundaries, instead of saying no, say yes, give it a try. I'm all for that, all for giving things a chance, but also know what works.
It's a tough one, I think, because I don't want to. Yeah, let's not exclude anything.
Yeah.
Anything is possible.
Yeah.
But maybe live action, or at least the Hollywood live action remakes of anime or interpretation of anime has not had the best run.
Yeah.
Maybe we haven't found the correct source material. Maybe we haven't found the right groove. I think the One Piece live action series have been received very well. I've only watched the first episode.
Yeah.
Because I'm also kind of like a little bit averse to it.
Okay.
But a lot of people have been saying like this is a step in the right direction.
I mean, from a person, so this is a person I watched because I had friends who's been watching One Piece, and at the time they won Dressrosa, so around 600 episodes. I'm like, I'm not watching 600 episodes, bro. Then I watched the live action One Piece, and I was like, again, you watch something, and you just want maybe a little bit more on the characters, or you're a little bit more on this world, you know what I'm saying? As a person who watches X-Men, I wanted to read X-Men, you know? As a person who watched the live action One Piece, I was like, okay, this is cool. Maybe I will give the anime a try.
It's a great jump-off point, I guess.
You see what I'm saying? And then I'm like, okay, cool. The first season of this, and there again, as much as animation is a tough industry, I feel like it's very unappreciated because you can get so much from manga, so much from the animation, you know what I'm saying? They can turn around a season in a year. Whereas live action, it's filming, you got to deal with like the aging of characters. Yeah, because now all of a sudden, you have a actor who is meant to play a 12-year-old, but they look 18. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's crazy. So there again, as much as I'm all for saying yes, you kind of have to know what works.
Just give me one second.
No worries.
Sorry. You're in our podcast, the Not Just Anime podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry about that.
It's not just anime. It's we for everybody.
We're here, you know, even for the what would you call someone that enters the frame, the lens there?
Passerby.
Yeah, I hear that's true. You know, like live action's got to contend with a lot of, and look, animation's hard work.
Yeah,
it's a lot of hours, but at the end of the day, live action, there's like a lot of moving parts.
Yes, yeah. You know? Listen, there's always there's always pros and cons. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing that's perfect, and as people, we do our best. You know, I think that when I'm approaching a review on something, whether it's a book, whether it's a movie, whether it's a whatever, I try and keep that in mind because we're trying our best. You use what you have. You know what I'm saying? But again, the one criticism, just know what works.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. So my question is the layup that I was moving towards is
sorry.
What frustrates you about Hollywood and their interpretation of a lot of the treatment that they give comic book movies? What do you think? Is there anything that frustrates you? Do you think we're in a good space? Or what would Chad, the director / executive, what would, if you in the Bizarro universe, you were a Hollywood exec, what would you do differently?
I don't actually know, because I think moving into July, because we're in July right now, Winter Fest of Daru Fest.
Yeah.
We're in July, and July 2025 is I feel, going into July, I was very excited because I feel like it's a very important month for comic book cinema, because we've got Superman, and at the end of the month we have Fantastic Four. And I'm from the standpoint of those are two very iconic IPs because they carry a lot of history. You know what I'm saying? Superman being
the first comic book hero.
100%. He revolutionized superheroes. You know what I'm saying? And you could probably live under a rock, never watch the movie, never read a comic book, no piece of media, but you will know who Superman is. You
it's
know
part
what I'm
of
saying?
the culture.
100%.
It's part of the jargon.
It's who he is. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like the way that movie panned out for me is again, Christopher Nolan did something with Batman, created this darker tone, created the Dark Knight, and it's okay, cool. You can take a character, put him through the most. You know what I'm saying? And that's what you get from the books. Let's put it on the screen, and cool. And that sets the tone, right? Then you have like the Snyderverse, which is, I mean, it has its pros, it has its cons, it has its lovers, it has its haters. You know what I'm saying? But it's enjoyable movies. You know what I'm saying? As a person, I enjoyed that. So I feel like instead of saying no, so I think as a director, but Zara, don't say no. Give things a try. If it doesn't pan out, it doesn't pan out. And also, so give it a try. If it's not working, figure out what works. You get what I'm saying? So Superman is meant to be Metropolis, sunny day, bright costume, trying to save everyone. Do that. You know what I'm saying? And now we're gonna go into Fantastic Four. It's Fantastic Four is, yes, it's as much as it's superheroes, it's also about family, because each of those people have different personalities, and how do those personalities, so don't disregard the source material. Know who these characters are, and if you don't know, just maybe learn. You know
Pass
what
it
I'm
on
saying?
to someone
Pass
else,
it on
maybe,
to someone else.
or learn.
100%.
Yeah. Get with the program.
100%. And kind of with that, right? So I don't know if this is controversial. I don't know if this is hot, but I know Taika Waititi was gonna do Akira, live action Akira. I was like, first and foremost, I know everybody loves Thor Ragnarok. I did not.
For real?
Yeah, I prefer the Elizabethan, the darker Thor. You know what I'm saying? Have a property like Captain America, he's the superhero. You know what I'm saying? He's like he's wearing the American flag. He's saving people. He's the Boy Scout. Have a brooding Thor. There's nothing wrong with that. You know what I'm saying?
He is a Norse god.
He is a Norse god. Lean into that Vikingness of him, you know, and then now you're gonna make him comedic. You get what I'm saying? So when I saw that Taika Waititi is gonna be doing Akira, I was like, that's not again. And when I saw the licensing went from Warner Brothers back to original studio, if I'm not mistaken.
It's not Karakawa, it's Kodansha, I think.
So I was like, phew.
Yeah.
Exactly, because I don't know.
That's a interesting thing, right? Because I do see where you're coming from with the whole Thor thing. Yeah. And it was maybe this is what frustrates me about Hollywood, is that they look at things in we've got to fill this character, you know, like who's gonna. It's the Avengers. Who's going to be the comic relief? Okay, Thor. You know? You just be comic relief out of the blue. Okay, we've got to get like a serious and brooding kind of character. Who's that going to be? Okay.
Captain America.
Okay, who's going to be the playboy asshole that everyone kind of loves to hate?
100%. Iron Man. Yeah.
And instead of it like letting the characters be the characters,
100%.
They, you know, like a lot of people maybe enjoy that different take.
Maybe,
you know? Fantastic for the executive to have not gone like, oh, Thor's got to be this or that or whatever.
Yeah.
Cool. But that's the frustrating thing, is like, I think, you know, like Hollywood, the mainstream cinema has always been like, or a large part of it has been book adaptations or some, you know, ancient stories that they are redoing a retelling of, you know, Shakespeare, you know, King Lear or whatever. Comic books kind of is this new source that people can tap into, but you shouldn't disregard, like you said saying earlier, like respect the source material. You shouldn't disregard that there are some serious creatives, some serious storytellers 100%. Out there that know what they are doing. You know, they're not like, you know, picking their nose and going like,
let me throw and see what sticks.
No, they are serious storytellers, and they've done the work, and 100%. You can basically take what they have and just do that on screen, and you can have a awesome, you know, like product or awesome end result. Obviously you don't have to always do like a page for page retelling,
100%.
But the source material is there. Rely on the source material.
For example, and I'm only on this Akira tip because I genuinely love Akira, and I find it.
I love that you love Akira.
and that was the anime that introduced the West to anime, and then I think when the Akira movie was made, they only put, if I'm not mistaken, volumes 1, 2, and 6 right?
Five or six.
5 and 6. Okay. So there again, the
Sorry. For the anime
the
film,
movie.
the
Yes,
film.
yes,
Yeah,
yes,
I think
yes.
it's just like the first two.
first two, yeah.
I didn't go deep on the. There's a lot of the source material has been cut.
Cut, yeah. But if I'm not mistaken, I think the I can't pronounce his name.
Kaneda.
No, the
Tetsuo?
the mangaka of Otomo. Otomo, yeah. He was.
Otomo, what's his surname? Check what's
Oh,
in the back there.
I think he was like, okay, we can do a movie, but I'm doing it.
Yeah.
And I think Creative control. I know what I know as a creator. I created these characters.
Katsuhiro Otomo. Wow, guys, not just anime podcast, also anime education. Right here.
we learning as we go. I think he was like, okay, here's my manga. You want to make a movie? Fine. But we're going to do it my way.
Let me tell the story.
Let me tell the story. There's certain things, again, know what works. Reading the manga, there's a lot more in the manga, but you can spend time on the manga, right? If you need to fit 6 volumes into a 2-hour movie, it's going to feel... It's fast. The pacing is going to be
lost.
100%. There's so many characters. It's hard to keep track of. Okay, who's this character again? Who's this character again? No. So he knew what works for him. He knows what works for the movie. And there again, it's just respecting. I mean, it's his own source material. So.
But like respecting what he is busy creating.
100%.
He's not going to go like, oh shit, I've got to make a movie now. It's got to be a blockbuster.
Exactly.
He most likely went and said, you know what? I've got this manga. I've got the story that I'm passionate about. I want to give it the correct treatment. So let me handle this and give it the treatment that I feel satisfied with, or that I'm willing to put out into the open, and not just some like abomination from notes that I gave a guy on a back of a napkin,
some guy who's never picked up a manga ever, and then he's now all of a sudden going to make a movie.
And that kind of, Chad, I've said this before. You probably played basketball in high school because the layup is fantastic. Dude.
No.
It's my second.
I'm too short for basketball.
No, you can be a center or something. Clutch player. So the thing is, Hollywood gets a lot of flack for their adaptations.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, anime is essentially just a manga. A lot of anime is a manga adaptation.
Fair point.
And we've now touched on, Akira manga being adapted into the movie. That is like a seminal movie. It like blew everyone's minds. Like, there's a reason why it's still trending on Instagram to this day. Like, it came out in the 80s. It's like 100 years later.
Yeah.
What do you think anime? What do you think anime productions get right in adapting manga to the screen? Like, I think obviously they get a lot more leniency with, and you can do a lot more with. It's still the same medium essentially. It's still illustration. It's like taking stationary images, moving them, but it's still like the same visual language, so to speak.
I get that. So on the point of visual language, okay, I'm gonna go a little bit outside of mangas and all that. So I, as you know, and then if you see my page, I'm actually getting a Japanese tattoo sleeve done, right? So the guy who was doing it, he sadly passed away.
Snap.
But
RIP, man.
yeah, no shame, Dan, R.I.P. Dan. But he actually went to Japan, studied
like a traditional.
He got his tabori sticks and the theory, because he loves the craft so much. And then he was explaining that for I think it's the Edo period, where Japan was just closed off from the world. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then so he was explaining that when the world elevated in technology, cars were being developed, things were being developed. Japan fell behind a little bit on that, but in terms of arts, that's where they elevated. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like
that's an interesting take. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the rest of the world, with that, because technology, as great as it is, it's also a crutch. You see what I'm saying? So I think with Japan elevating its arts and really focusing on those crafts, that there's a level of love and respect that goes into the manga. And then when we need to adapt a manga into a movie or into a series, that love and that passion for art continues throughout. So I think that's the difference.
You raise an interesting point, because the anime creators or producers and the manga creators they are referred to as sensei,
Yeah.
which is the honorific for like teacher, or it's
100%.
like it's a level of respect. So it's an interesting take, yeah, because they definitely have a very deep-rooted respect for the recreative arts.
Yeah.
And they would be like, Otomo Sensei or Oda Sensei.
Yes.
So that's a very, very interesting take. And
Right?
I'd actually like to dive deeper on that because, I'm already going, okay, so Japan focused on arts and they developed their creative industries, and then because they were closed off to the rest of the
Yeah.
world. And then imagine being an art, I mean, you are an artist, but imagine being an artist in the Edo period,
Yeah.
where all you know is Japanese art and Japanese way of thinking, and then
Yeah.
overnight it opens up
And then-
to the rest of the world, and you've got all these influences going boom,
But
and
I-
all these new stimuli.
I don't know. I think there's beauty in the confidence in what you know.
100%,
You see what I'm saying?
100%.
For instance, bringing back to Akira, here's a movie that's predominantly at night. They needed to develop 50 colors. First and foremost, there's already a standard, your primary colors,
Yeah.
blue, blah, 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 blah. You mix those colors, fine.
Yeah.
Now you need to develop not just one, not just 5,
Yeah.
50 more. And then you see what I'm saying? So that love there's just love there.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because I can't imagine myself sitting and like, oh goodness, I would be stressed. I have to develop not one,
Yeah.
5. It would be a team of 5 maybe. I have
Yeah.
you tell me I have to develop 5 colors for a movie?
For this one
How's this
story.
gonna work? For this one story? How am I gonna? Think about it. I'm stressed.
Yeah.
But they were able to do it because I feel like they welcome it. They're like,
Yeah.
cool. It's a challenge. You know what I'm saying? Come with your camera. Come with your digital this, your digital that. I'm gonna come with my calligraphy. And there's beauty in the technique. There's love. There's put into it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
and case in point with like traditional Japanese tattooing, for instance, the tabori. You know what I'm saying? Because Dan told me about the story. When he was there, he was under a sensei. It's very, very specific, very strict traditions, and that also is very important because there's traditions that gets carried and passed through. And then, okay, cool. Now you've gone through your course. You've gone through what you understand the process that you need to do. Go out there. There's like a field of taboo. Go pick up your taboo sticks, and from there your tools are going to be made from.
Yeah.
So there's that tradition, and there's that confidence in tradition. You know what I'm saying? And I think it really solidifies the culture, and I think that's the appeal for not just Japanese, but I don't want to just isolate Japanese, but like the Eastern cultures, because as much as there's different cultures around the world, the Eastern cultures are there's Taiwanese, there's Japanese,
Yeah,
there's
Chinese.
Chinese, there's Korean. You know, each of them have their different nuances.
And they're old cultures.
They're old cultures.
They've been around for
Exactly.
thousands and thousands of years.
Exactly, and I think that solidifies it so that when you get this new wave of, because like trends and fads come and go, you get what I'm saying? Not everything sticks, and then but their traditions stick, which is, I think it's a really beautiful thing.
Yeah, that is beautiful, and I do think it's interesting that, I mean, everyone talks about Japan being like having that cultural and technological confluence, and the way
Yeah.
that it mingles is very unique and interesting, and
100%.
gives unique and interesting perspectives. I do think, I honestly I like that take, because at the end of the day, it's produced some interesting stories.
It has, yeah.
You know, and what's interesting is that we've got a culture that's on the other side of the globe, you know, that can resonate with us down here in South Africa.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's one thing to be like, okay, I'm going to tell a very South African story. You know, I'm going to tell a story that's about the South African experience.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that a lot of people don't know about anime, is that it's very much for Japan,
Yeah.
or by Japan for Japan.
For Japan, yeah.
And in the some of the meetings that I have been with industry people, they've been like, is this popular in South Africa? Why? You know, it's a Japanese story.
Okay.
You know, like
That's
why is
interesting, yeah.
why is it resonating with South African people? But then I think the human experience, it was getting very esoteric, I guess, but the human experience is quite universal. It's one
Yeah.
of struggling and suffering for what you want to achieve and what you want to do, and it's a story of perseverance.
I
That's
agree
the
with
universal
that,
kind of point of view.
I agree with that. So, because like you said, I've studied animation. So in varsity, my HOD said, the stories that need to be told, all the stories have been told.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? There's nothing original that you can make. You know what I'm saying? Nobody's going to develop another 50 new colors. You get what I'm saying? So everything that needs to be made has been made, right? It's how you take something and make it your own. But in doing that, I do feel, like you said, there is that human element. There is this relatability in struggle. You get what I'm saying? You watch JJK. Here is Yuji Itadori, that's just whose grandfather passed, and it's like, bro, just be the best you can be. That is like literally the best advice you can be. And as people, I'd like to think that's what we strive for. You get what I'm saying?
And that's why it resonates. Because
that's why it resonates.
Deep down, these are core principles of humanity.
Of people, yeah.
Just try to be the best that you can be.
100%.
Try to strive towards a greater good. And just, do the best that you can.
Yeah.
And persevere.
Yeah,
you know?
And I think that's why, regardless of where these stories come from, if the story relays that connection, if it connects with you, that's what makes a great story.
Yeah. It's interesting that, your passion for storytelling has led you down some interesting avenues, and I think we can probably chat about some live action film that like original works. I mean, you can get into. There's a lot of good films out there that we can definitely get into. But Akira is quite an interesting one because it's captured and held the attention of the masses, the mainstream, for so long.
Yeah.
What made you decide to... Was it your love for animation or your professional background that brought this across your table? Or was it something that you happened upon?
So I've always seen Akira, but again, I feel like there's certain movies, like you say, both live action as well as animation, it's just a must. You get what I'm saying? If I am going to be jumping on Instagram and telling you to read this story, it's one of the greatest. Oh, this is fantastic! It's amazing. I need a good basis. I feel like a good reference point of what. I think it's important to have a good basis, and I think Akira is one of the...
It'll probably be on a top 100 films list, regardless of genre.
I don't know. 100 is just...
That's maybe...
It needs to be top 5.
For real?
For me, it needs to be top 5. There's just... If you... I don't know. It's difficult to say because if you can sit... Like, again... You can see a movie, right? Okay, cool. This movie's really nice. It's really beautiful. It's interesting characters. Cool. If I can walk away... And that was a cool movie, fine. But I'm walking away and I'm thinking about constant thing. Why is Kanada like that? Why is Tetsuo like that? Why is Kira this feared thing? Why is the government? Why? You know what I'm saying? Why is this movie so beautiful? Oh, it's animated on ones, which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
You're telling me these people had to draw each and every frame, 24 frames per second. That's crazy. So you go and like, I don't know, it needs to be top 5 for me because there's a lot to sink your teeth into.
Yeah.
And yes, I'm looking at it from a very critical perspective as a person who understands animation, a person who understands stories, you know what I'm saying? So, but I just feel like that movie has so much to offer.
Yeah.
And I think that's also why a lot of the time it's referenced because a lot of filmmakers do love that movie and they'll base some aspect on whatever they're creating on that. Let me see what I can transition over. It's somebody else's story, but how can I make it my own?
Yeah, that's the thing. As you're saying this, it kind of reminds me of one of my opinions about a good storytelling or films that I enjoy or series or stories that I enjoy. You were talking about it's a good movie and you go home and you go on with your life.
Yeah.
There's a couple of films and I think Akira is definitely in that wheelhouse.
Yeah.
Where once you're done with the movie, forget about the main characters.
Yeah.
Forget about every single character that was just introduced. I just want to stay in the world. I want to. What's around that corner?
Yeah.
I want to bike like that. I want to experience this world. The story was, we can go. We can kind of separate it and say this is a fantastic story.
100%.
Characters are great. I'd like to learn a little bit more about them and dive deeper on them. But the world that has also been built in a very, and that's difficult, right? Because you've got limited amount of time, 90 minutes, maybe 2 hours. You've got to establish the sense of the world.
Yeah.
For me, like like Blade Runner 2049 is a good example of that. Forget about what happens with Harrison Ford and Ryan Gosling.
Yeah.
I want to experience what it's like to live, to have an apartment in that apartment block,
100%.
to go and eat at the noodle stand downstairs.
Yeah.
To see what are the people doing in this era, you know? And I think Akira is exactly that, where it's due for a rewatch. I've got to rewatch it. We were talking about getting a cinema sorted. And
listen, we need to watch it together. I feel like, again, it's a movie.
Yeah.
But it's also like a cultural shift, and I feel like we don't get too many of those anymore.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
And
diminishing returns.
It is. And I feel like that movie just needs to be experienced by everybody.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? I think you alluding to like recommendations and like okay, you got to read this, but it might not be. I feel like Akira has something for everybody.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. So for me, the thing that stands out for me, obviously, there's a couple of key scenes. Of course, you know, that clown versus Kaneda's biker gang in the beginning. Of course, the stuff that happens at the end with the deformation and things. There's a couple of key scenes, and like just beautifully, like the cityscapes, so stunning. But just for me, the thing that kind of lingers is not necessarily the character arcs, and that not to say that the character arcs are forgettable.
Yeah.
The thing that maybe it's been 10 years since I've watched it. The thing that stuck with me was just like the world is so interesting.
Yeah.
You've got Neo Tokyo, or not Neo Tokyo, Tokyo 3, or no, it's like what's it? It was an atomic blast or something.
Yes, like World War 3 and
World War 3, and it's New Tokyo
Neo
basically.
Tokyo, yeah.
And you've got all these like biker gangs, and people are going about their lives, but the government is like very heavy-handedly
100%.
involved, the military as well.
100%.
And it's just I just remember, I want to know what's going on a day-to-day basis. You know, these kids are in school.
In school. Bad. What? Good for your health, bad for education.
You know, like they're in school and they're riding around on bikes.
So
how does this happen?
I think that brings in that human element that you were talking about earlier. Because for me, the most impactful, like that movie is very good, but the most impactful aspect of that movie is the fight between Kaneda and Tetsuo.
Yeah, that's
and it's like I'm not gonna lie, I think I shed a tear during that fight because they're going hard at each other, and when you realize they're friends, they're childhood friends, and obviously they and then we've had this, and I think that again, talking about the human element, people have experiences where maybe somebody's personality is, you know, you as kids you're fine, but then when you grow up, maybe you into something else, maybe you vert off. You grow apart, and now your personalities don't. So there is that relatability there, and then like you just wanna hang out with your friend. You know, you just want the good old days. But obviously, your friend is a little bit more popular and a little bit more likable by people, and maybe you just like a little bit strange.
And
so
you maybe perceive him as having an easier run at life.
100%. You struggling and things like that, and then that tension builds up, and then now you come to head, and then you realize you're fighting with your brother. You know what I'm saying? You're fighting with the person who's close to you, who's like, you might as well just share a womb because you guys are that close, because you have that string, that tether with each other, and now you're fighting, and then at the end, I mean, if you've not seen, I was about to spoil the end of
it's a deeply
Akira
sad
movie.
experience.
It is.
It's again something that you can relate to.
It is.
We like, listen, maybe some people haven't had this experience, and that's a blessing. But I think all of us have gone through the experience where you were like closest friends. You know, you were like so close.
Yeah.
For a like very important part of your life.
Yeah.
And then somewhere you just kind of drift apart.
Yeah.
And you never just you might still, you know, be friendly with each other. You might still hang out sometimes, but that just like deep sense of connection is just kind of snuffed.
Yeah.
And that's heartbreaking.
You see.
That's trauma right there.
Do you see why I say this movie belongs in top 5 of everybody's list? Because regardless of what you want, if you are more political person, like you say, Neo Tokyo, but the government has got a strong choke on, you know, it's why Star Wars is so compelling as well. I mean, okay, well, let me not say Star Wars, but you have a Andor, Rogue One story, and you see those inner workings, those the how everybody's day-to-day life is. You get what I'm saying? And
Yeah, it's a pretty
Again.
cool one.
Yeah, it's a grounded story.
Yeah,
You can set a story in a galaxy far, far away,
Yeah.
or in a super futuristic Tokyo. And as long as you have that groundedness,
Struggle
and
is
that
still the same.
Struggle's still the same, and that relatability. You know what I'm saying? Not saying, unfortunately, like I'll keep saying the world we live in today is so tough. There's a lot going on, and we tend, it's so funny because we tend to lean into these stories to escape as a form of escapism, whether it's comic books, movies, anime, but they have an underlined real life tone to it.
100%.
Which is it's ironic, actually.
It is ironic, but it's also where you feel like a connection, like it's not just me suffering through this, right? Like
100%.
other people are also struggling with these
That
things.
camaraderie.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know if that's the right word.
I
but
just also need to, before we get killed for this,
Sure.
is it Neo Tokyo, or am I getting it confused with Evangelion? Because
no,
is it? Because Evangelion's also got like a Neo Tokyo.
Yes,
thing going.
it was only because I've been watching as well. So now, it might be Neo Tokyo.
Listen, Evangelion is also one of the seminal works that you need to watch. Have you watched Evangelion?
I am in the process of, yeah.
The original?
The original, yeah.
I still need to watch the rebuild of Evangelion, which is like 3 or 4 movies.
Oh, okay.
With a little bit more budget, a little less time constraints.
Yeah.
I've heard some good things.
Yeah.
They introduce a lot more and they add a lot more to the world.
Okay.
But yeah, how are you finding Evangelion? Because it's interesting. When
very
when
interesting.
people talk anime, especially when I was growing up and getting into anime, if you talked anime mainstream, it was Evangelion. Everyone was like, "Whoa, this is like hectic.
Yeah.
This is this like pushes the work forward."
Okay.
And Akira. Those two
okay.
were kind of like, if you
Hand
ask,
in hand.
if I remember, do you know Linkin Park?
Yeah.
So I remember interviews.
Big metalhead.
So I remember watching an interview with Mike Shinoda as a kid, and they were like, "Oh, you know, your covers are so cool. The album covers are like they're all like artistic and whatever, and it's like really, it's got like a Gundam like robot on the Hybrid Theory reanimation or something." And are you into anime? And he's like, yes and no, but like I do feel like the anime that I am into is Evangelion and Akira, and I was like, whoa, that's pretty.
That's all you need.
You just pushed that into the mainstream, and those works
100%.
are, you know, like
regarded as
goat anime.
Yeah.
It might not be everyone's cup of tea, but the technical skill and the beauty and the passion and the effort that went into that is undeniable.
It again. So. Also, your question earlier, what would director Chad do?
Yeah.
I would, if a studio said, Chad, here's 10 billion.
Hey, that's making a podcast in the wild.
Cameo.
There's your Easter egg, guys.
Which character is that from Akira? As director Chad, because you spoke about budget, it's like even got in a couple movies, 4 movies with a little bit more budget. If a studio says, Chad, here's 10 billion, I'm like, bro, give me 5. Let's cut the budget, so I'm forced to focus on. I'm forced to problem solve.
To make a
I'm
plan,
forced to, if I'm doing a specific thing. And I feel like that's what I'm thoroughly enjoying about like the 90s anime, Evangelion. And then I know a lot of people struggle with One Piece, is that like that earlier animation is hard to get to. I'm like, I love it. It's so grainy. It's like there's appeal in nostalgia.
Yeah.
And I feel like that. I don't know if it's the appeal, but like there was craft that was put into it, and I feel like that craft can be very lost with like the digital side of things,
especially with the way AI is going.
100%.
Right? Like that 100%. Is the scary thing, is where everything kind of gets like the AI treatment, and it's like super clean and it's washed, and everything is like almost too perfect.
100%. Yeah.
There's no like gritty in it.
Yeah.
I feel you. I hear you.
Because we're talking about like skateboard and stuff. I don't know if you've seen Jonah Hill's A24 mid-90s movie.
What's the title of his Jonah Hill?
It's called Mid-90s. So I think it was shot in 2019, 2018. But he actually used I'm not gonna get into. I can't remember what camera, but he actually used like an older camera
from that era.
Because it's about a story about a kid in the 90s who I think his brother was a bit of a bully, and he developed skateboarding, or he got like adopted, not adopted, but like his group friends friends were skaters, and they would just go skating, and then that rebelliousness, and then just again coming of age story, but like the way it's shot, the craft that Jonah Hill, because Jonah Hill's is a filmmaker, and he loves stories, he loves skateboarding, he loves all these certain things, but it was like, okay, cool, if I'm gonna make this movie, I need to be as authentic to, okay, there's no source material, but I need to be authentic to the kind of story I want to tell. You know what I'm saying? So that craft is very important.
I appreciate that. And I don't know if you've seen on Instagram and on social media recently, like people going and digging up their old cameras.
Okay.
And like posting.
I'm pretty sure I saw a homie coming through with the older camera.
The older camera, yeah. And then like a buddy of mine actually now has dug up his old, is like one of the first, I think it's like an iPhone 4.
Okay.
And he's shooting on that, which is it's like modern technology.
Interesting.
You know?
Okay.
And just the difference in how it looks from back when iPhone 4 was out versus all the AI adjustments that you've got on your latest smartphone. It's quite interesting. And then I dug up my old iPod Nano, and it's got a video camera function.
Oh.
So I was like filming a little bit with that, and there's definitely like, and this is digital, this is not even film.
Yes.
But there was definitely like a little bit of there was a filter.
Yeah.
Let's call it a 2000s filter.
That people mimic now on like Instagram and stuff. And let's make a movie. Let's pull up that Nano.
The old gear, dude, the handhelds.
I mean, what is the zombie movie that came out recently? I think it's 28 years later.
Yes.
I think because the first 28 days and then 28 weeks was shot with an iPhone. I think they built like a rig.
I saw that online.
Like,
it was like a sick ass rig that they had, and I saw there's an article that said like, why we filmed on iPhone.
Yeah, exactly. So I read. I followed that. I was like, you see, there's just this. You can have like a 4K camera, which is fine. You're gonna get beautiful visuals, regardless.
Yeah.
That again, the beauty of technology and the development of technology is you can do things. It opens the door. It does push the boundary.
But it's not denying that what has been done isn't 100% as fascinating.
But again, if you're trying to capture something that feels, that relates to people, and you feel like, and I know that's a problem now as well with like cinema, is that nostalgia bait.
There's a lot of it.
There's a lot of it. So
and a lot of it is not done right.
100%.
Like I think Stranger Things is basically just nostalgia bait, but they've done it so good.
Okay. I was worried where you were going because you mentioned Stranger Things, and I genuinely love that series.
I do too, dude.
Yeah.
But it's because they just went and they understood the assignment.
100%.
And they're kids from that era, right?
100%.
So they're so efficient at capturing
that feel, yes, what it's like to be a kid in the 80s,
but also making it like sexy enough that kids growing up now, or people 100%. That missed that with like 10 years or 20 years
100%.
Would be like, ooh, I wanna experience that again.
Let's bring that back. Let's leave bell bottoms wherever they are.
It was a bit of a weird time.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So I know. I honestly, Stranger Things. Is season 5 coming out this year?
It's this year.
Yeah. You were talking earlier about people aging out of a role. I'm very curious to see what's happening with the cast there.
Exactly. I mean, luckily, I think time-wise, filming-wise, but these kids are old, bro.
But also they're youngish looking. They didn't age like I do. I'm bold, so I was like done with high school.
Listen, we both in our 30s, and I think it's okay. We call a spade a spade. But I don't know. I've seen the Caleb kid, the kid that plays Lucas. When I saw the picture with that dude with a beard, I almost fell over. I was like,
he's got a beard?
He's got a beard.
No, that's sacrilege.
He came out with like a goatee as thick as mine. I was like, I thought you were 12, bro.
I'm not going to. I'm staying off the internet until I can see season 5 of Stranger Things. But yeah, I think that is also like I guess it's coming back to like respecting the source material.
Yeah.
It's not just given the 80s wash where it's like like the instant. Let's just make it like an 80s
Exactly.
They go deep on the 80s lore.
Yeah.
And I think that's the respect of that era and reliving that era is what they are really good at capturing. And that's why let's be honest, I think Stranger Things basically kickstarted the whole nostalgia bait thing.
Because now that I think about it, I think you're right.
It was around about, when did it come out? Like 100 years ago? Was it 2018? It was pre-COVID, right?
Yeah.
2018, 2019?
If I'm not mistaken, I think earlier, bro. Because if I'm
2016.
not 2016, I think.
Yeah, because they've got 4 seasons already, and they had like a hiatus.
Yeah, and I remember one of my varsity projects. Well, I 3D built like 11 in a scene. So that was like my third year. So that's, we're looking at maybe 2016, 2017.
So there you go,
Showing my
right?
age right now.
They basically, we'll just edit that part out. But that's kind of where this whole romanticization of the 80s kind of began, I think.
Yeah.
Because suddenly they introduced stuff and music that people were like, what's that? Oh, let me go and investigate.
Let me go and see, yeah. But again, it's you have a lot of nostalgia bait that's not done right. But I think it's the only way you're not going to do it right is if you don't look at the original, I want to say, source material.
Yeah, 100% agree.
Like, look at the experiences and like why certain people relate to certain things and why it is they do that what they do. You know, why does this appeal to you?
Yeah.
And like I say, like with like Eastern cultures, Korean, Japanese, Chinese, Taiwan, you know, they each have their different cultures, different nuances. I feel like in nerddom, in geekdom, there are certain things that can relate, but there's also certain things that just that make it for what it is. And I think if as people who are making these things, if you don't lean into the things that make tradition so important, that what makes the geekdom so important, why people are drawn into geekdom, if you don't have that, then it does fall flat. It does fall flat.
Yeah, I feel you. I 100% feel you. Question.
Sure.
So yeah, we're talking about some interesting things. We're talking about anime, we're talking about comic books, we're talking about nostalgia, talking about storytelling.
It's not just an anime podcast.
Not just the anime podcast. Thank you. We also, you know, like we've got all these interconnected things, and you might be fans of different things, but you also do get the communities that are like die-hard fans of certain things. What's your take on the difference between? Because you know you've got a word for it. You like anime weeb.
Okay.
Otaku.
Yeah.
You know, those types of things. Like, would you say, from a comic book side of view, how do you think the comic book fan compares to the anime fan? Are they similar in a lot of ways, or are they quite different?
In my opinion, right? I saw something the other day online that actually I was like, oh, really? I was always under the impression that comic book fans are less. I don't want to say less friendly, but they're very diehard. They're very, don't change my thing.
Really?
And whereas the anime fans are very open and very, come see. But then I saw something saying that the anime fans are very gatekeepy. And I was like,
Yeah, anime fans can be very gatekeepy.
Because I think also because in the spaces I've been and the people, maybe it's the people I've engaged with, are very open to share, very very friendly. So I feel like I'm lucky in that instance where I haven't experienced someone like, you gotta I mean, when I started watching anime, please don't come for me. I've changed my ways. But I used to watch dub.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, coming off DBZ, I used to watch dub. But now, I can't watch dub.
Interesting.
I have to watch sub.
It's a weird balance, right?
Other than Demon Slayer. Demon Slayer, I can't.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I have to watch it in dub. In dub, yeah.
Oh, why's that?
No idea.
Interesting.
No idea.
So the thing for me is, that's with anime, is I feel like maybe anime kids were bullied as
I see.
and they're trying to be kind.
So that's my kind of not interpretations. That's not the right word. My take on comic book fans too, because I mean, if you look at it, only because of like the cinema today, the current era of because we're in comic book, the glow up of comic books. So now it's okay to be a fan of all these things. But then you have instances where people don't feel safe. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I've had colleagues make fun of me for being a Batman fan, for being a comic book fan. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I think I have a tougher skin, but I understand where it's like, this is your safe space. You know what I'm saying? There are these characters that you relate with. There are these stories that just resonate with you because in your time, you just like, you're watching these things. This is your comfort. Now you're trying to. Okay, I can understand that because
but it's not necessarily like that. So when I say bullied, maybe it's also that like maybe comic books, when at least the South African perspective.
Yeah.
My take would be that comics have been around for a little bit longer than anime.
Yeah.
Anime was introduced with the whole Dragon Ball Z and Pokemon. So let's say early 90s, late 90s, early 2000s, thereabouts. There's been fans of anime before that, but at least my experience has been that anime was less. It was comic books was a subculture, and then below that was anime. So you're like,
okay,
you would be, I won't say looked down on, but there was you into anime?
Yeah, like a stigma, almost like a stigma.
Yeah, which I think is also probably the case in comic books. I think it's a similar journey, but I think when it comes to gatekeeping is that it can be, I feel like a lot of people feel like they discovered anime. It's like, I was a kid.
I see.
So this is where the gatekeeping thing comes in, I think. It's like, I was the first one to like anime.
Oh, I see.
Everyone else was watching Batman and Turtles.
Yes.
I was like, nah, that shit's lame.
I was into this before it was cool.
I'm intellectual.
Yes.
I'm watching
okay, I see.
foreign film, so there was that it's like, look at me.
I see.
And then
I'm
finally,
different.
And
yes.
finally, anime is getting the glow up treatment as well in today's age with Instagram and the younger generation like popularizing it more and it breaking into the mainstream. And then it's like, I was there first. I was there. Cigarette, I was there.
I see.
So I think that could very much be part of the gatekeeping side.
Okay.
But I must also say, I think compared to some other communities, probably on average, I think maybe the anime community is more welcoming.
Yes, as opposed to...
What about the financial implication? Aren't comic book fans like big collectors and there's like monetary value in it, so they're trying to gatekeep people from, buying up their stock?
Ooh. Sure, but I think comic books works a little bit different because you are always, the aftermarket is where the teeth come out. Because if it's a certain issue with the first appearance, then it can skyrocket in price. Now Oaks is like charging serious prices for a book that's like, so I think that's where the teeth come out. I don't know, in terms of, my experience has always been good. People will always, you into this? Yeah, check this out. Why don't you go there? Share. Yeah. So I can't really speak on that because I've always had a good experience.
Have you had bad experiences?
No. Luckily.
That's great.
Luckily,
that's
in
great.
both comic books and anime perspectives.
Maybe South Africans are just friendlier.
I hope so. I hope that's the case.
Shout
it gives
out
me
South
hope
Africans.
for our people.
We're resilient.
We're resilient.
And we're all suffering through the same things.
We are.
So because we're all suffering through the same things, or similar things at least, there's a pothole in the road, everyone's got to cross that pothole.
Yeah, I'm going to move out the way. I saw you move, could be helping each other,
Yeah.
And that makes me feel better because like one thing I love about cinema is the fact that like we watch a movie and then we're going to stand outside talking about this movie. So it's that community. And I just really like the fact that community it's expanding, And I understand from a perspective. I mean, you ever have a restaurant that just serves, for instance, a restaurant that serves onigiri, for instance.
Yeah.
And then like, as much as I want to tell people, there's this spot, bomb noodles, onigiri, and you can catch some stuff. As much as I want to tell people, I also don't want to tell people because I'm gonna get there and you tell me there's no wasabi prawn?
Get out of here.
Get out of here. I'm fighting everyone.
Yeah. 1-star review.
But one star
this place is dead to me.
No, this place is great, but 1 star for everybody that comes here. Don't come here, please, but also come.
Yeah, that's that dichotomy, right? Where you want the scene to grow, you want to share it with as many people as possible, but at the same time, things also change. Opening it up opens up change.
Yeah, I mean, on that as well, like I've never had a bad experience, and I really don't want anybody to have a bad experience. And we live in a digital world. We live in a digital age where everything is out there, everything is exposed, so it's easily accessible, So I think the main thing is how do we make these spaces safe? You get what I'm saying? There's cosplay, there's and it comes with, again, there's nuances, that there's different factions, there's different things. things to these things that we enjoy. You know what I'm saying? But how I think the most important thing is how do we make these things safe? How do we make it okay for you to say, listen, I was here first. I started watching anime since 2001. We respect that.
Yeah.
But also, you're an OG now. Share that with the newcomers. You know what I'm saying?
Pay it forward. Yeah.
Pay it forward. Don't put someone off
Because you've got
you've
weird attitude.
Exactly. Don't do that.
Yeah, that's it. Interesting is Japan. And this is now I'm talking like serious anime fans.
Okay.
You know, like I've been an anime fan for a long time.
Yeah.
But I would probably look like a noob compared to these guys.
Okay.
Japan actually had classic Japan. They've formalized it. So if you are in like an anime society or community, there is like a senpai, like a superior, and a kohai.
Yeah.
The young up and comer. So they have formalized that relationship to say like there are levels, tiers. You know, like the black belt, white belt.
Oh, yes.
So they do actually have that.
That is pretty interesting.
And the guys who are like at the top level, they'll look at you and like, you've been a fan for 20 years. It's nothing.
It's nothing.
Again.
I've been here since 5.
They have you seen the movie Whiplash?
I have. Yes.
So
yes.
they'll give that
Brilliant
that guy. Oh, fantastic, man! The movie is great. Music is great. Acting is great. Those are fantastic, and the suspense, dude.
Yes.
But they'll do that like that.
Yeah.
Again,
Yeah.
you know?
I know. Yeah. No,
So
we'll dive into that at some point.
But those anime societies and clubs and stuff in Japan can get quite intense. So they do have like that ranking where you're like, cool,
Okay.
but I mean, I think probably gets toxic as well.
I can imagine. I can imagine.
But I also do agree with what you're saying that you kind of have to, as an OG, pay it forward.
Yes.
But at the same time, there's also got to be that mutual respect from the newcomer to be like,
Yeah.
hey,
I don't know this, but
yeah. I'm not Christopher Columbus. You know?
Yeah.
I didn't discover America.
Makes sense. Yes.
You know, or like
yes.
Christopher Columbus, you didn't discover shit. You know?
Exactly.
So hold on,
Yeah.
hold the phone, Christopher. Just like step back. You know,
Step back.
We've
You're a visitor.
and we've got to acknowledge that in the community as well. Like, and that is probably a way to open it up, to make it more easily accessible, because the people at the top, if we can call it that, would be less gatekeepy, because, you know, like, I'm not going to be threatened,
Makes sense.
but
yeah.
also at the same time won't be like intimidating for new people to join, because it's a welcoming space.
It is a welcome. I think so. I'm that. Okay. Everybody's different. Individuals are different. But I think if I'm gonna cast a blanket out wide, I think that just comes with like excitement.
Yeah.
You know, you discovered something new. It's new to you, but you just want to sink. You want to eat everything. You want to consume everything, and it's like, okay, whoa, chill. Let's eat this first. You know, remember to eat your veggies.
Yeah.
Make sure you put
Staples.
in, you know, and then you can get to dessert. You know what I'm saying? So don't eat everything at once. You know what I'm saying? But it's okay to be excited. Sorry, it's okay to be excited, but take your time.
Take your time. There's no rush. The retirement is coming.
100%.
And then you're going to have all the time in your life to.
This thing was here before you. It's going to be after you. It's yeah.
Chad, I want to say thank you very much for coming through.
Thank you, my brother.
For this enlightening discussion. I feel like we can actually have a take 2 on this. You're going to have to come back to the studio.
I will. The dudes.
You know, and then we can
Listen.
dive deep.
You have my number. I'm always available.
We're gonna have a chat.
I'm always ready to nerd out with you.
And listen, I'll extend the courtesy. I'll pick up a comic book. There's a couple of comic books that I've been meaning to read.
Okay.
I'll
Okay.
have to-
I think. Okay. So let me make a suggestion here. I wanted to make a reel about this, but I'm gonna do a reel or an Instagram post, so explaining to how we got here, right? So I feel like the same way Akira welcomed West or the rest of the world into the anime space, I feel like there's a Marvel comic book that is written, illustrated by a Japanese artist. They were like, "Yeah, is the ultimate X-Men."
Okay.
No prerequisites, no this, that, no editorial. That like, go do you. And it is one of the most interesting reimaginings of the X-Men. So again, you're taking something. I love the X-Men, and I genuinely love anime and stuff like that. And you tell, and Japanese art, and you tell them you're merging the two. So if I could make one recommendation, I feel like regardless of where you are on the spectrum, everyone should give the first arc, which is the first 6 issues of Ultimate X-Men.
Okay.
Yeah,
Is it good?
it's interesting. It's like good interesting though.
Okay.
Yeah.
And question is, do you have to buy physical copies, or is there like an online subscription
I
kind
think
of setup?
that's it is accessible through the Marvel Unlimited app.
Okay.
So you don't have to go out and actually buy a physical book because,
Yeah.
again, I think that's also a hard ask. Maybe it's something we can dive into. Like, it's a hard ask for someone who's coming into something brand new.
go and buy that thing.
Especially with in this economy and the way the price of comic books. When I started collecting comic books, it was $50.
Yeah.
That's even expensive from way back when. But now you're looking at 150 Rand. For a single issue, it's a hard ask. I understand that.
Yeah, and then it becomes like, oh, it's another thing that I collect.
I have to exactly.
yeah,
Listen,
yeah.
I've
Crossed the line.
Yeah, exactly. I know where I stand.
Yeah.
I've made my bed. I'm laying in it. But I know it's a hard ask. But I know there is a Marvel Unlimited app that's
cool.
accessible for us. I think the first 7 days are free.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that also makes it more accessible, right? Because that can be a very high
100%,
barrier.
yeah.
You're like, snap, I've got to
100%,
go and buy
yeah.
this, and there's 6 issues.
So what? 6 issues at 150 Rand. That's almost 1,000 Rand.
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
a
yeah.
very hard
I'll
ask,
get
and I
back to you.
understand that exactly.
Yeah,
And I think that's also what's making it harder for people to read comic books
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
But yeah, that's one thing. Ultimate X-Men by Peach Momoko, like the 2024 Ultimate X-Men.
2024 Ultimate X-Men Peach Momoko.
Peach Momoko.
I'll have a look. That's
Yeah.
Maybe a good jump off point.
Cool. Maybe we
I'm gonna-
come back and do a review.
Yeah, I'll blame you for my bank account if I get hard into this.
Just send me the invoice.
You heard it here, guys. This man has made a fiduciary.
Goodness, there's proof now.
He's made a financial commitment. Chad, thank you so much
Thank
for
you, sir.
having this chat
This was wonderful.
on the Not Just Anime podcast, as
Yeah.
evidenced by this conversation we had, live from Daru Fest Winter 2025.
Yeah.
Chad,
Look forward to the next one.
I'm hoping to watch that Akira with you in
100%.
studio.
Soon.
Have a good one, man.
Cheers, man.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
That was a lot of fun. As you noticed, this is a podcast of tangents, and we can probably do a part 2. I would love to do a part 2, but let me know what you think. I had so much fun talking to Chad. We delved into a lot of things. We took, side roads and side quests. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. I really had a great time recording this episode with Chad, and I was so happy that he agreed to come on the podcast. I think we'll probably have to do a part 2 because anime is not a static thing. And fandom is not a static thing, right? It evolves with time and over time. So yeah, we had a lot of fun on this podcast. But sure, it's hard. I recorded a couple of episodes at Daru Fest Winter 2025, and by the end of it, I was exhausted. Man, mad respect to voiceover artists and podcasters out there. It was not as easy as it looks. Not as easy as just picking up a mic and riffing from there. Anyway, I would really appreciate it if you guys would share this podcast, tell a homie. I would love your support. Of course, I'm working to, document anime and its community and its people in South Africa, and working hard and doing my best to produce a quality podcast. Thank you very much for listening. I do appreciate it. Have a good one. See you next week.